Welcome to this explainer. If you've ever felt like your content creation process is just pure chaos, like you're constantly throwing ideas at a wall and just praying something goes viral, you're definitely not alone. It's incredibly frustrating. But today, we're going to flip the script. We're going to explore how treating content creation exactly like a rigorous academic research project can completely transform your digital workflow. If you want to know how the top pros turn that everyday chaos into repeatable, predictable success, you are exactly in the right place.
So, what do academic researchers and viral YouTubers actually have in common? We usually think of digital animators and creators as these wild, chaotic artists, and researchers as, stiff scientists in lab coats. But here's the ultimate curiosity gap for you. The secret to getting 10 million views on a piece of content isn't luck. It's not algorithm magic, and it's definitely not just pure artistic genius. It is a highly structured, scientific experiment. When you peek behind the curtain of the most successful digital channels out there, you won't find a mess of random ideas. What you'll find is deliberate testing, rigorous methodology, and incredibly calculated execution.
Here's our roadmap for today. We're going to cover 1. The content science metaphor, 2. Hypothesizing the viral hook, 3. Pre-production as research design, 4. Executing the production experiment, and finally 5. Post-production and data analysis.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the content science metaphor.
Think about this. Every single digital task you do is actually a direct application of the classic scientific method. When an academic researcher starts a study, they don't just guess, right? They formulate a highly specific hypothesis. In our world, that's scripting the hook, calculating exactly what is going to capture attention. Then, executing the study is your production phase. That could be recording your screen, lighting a physical scene, or animating a complex 3D model. And finally, analyzing the research data. That's exactly what we do in post-production analytics. You aren't just making art here. You are gathering hard data to prove or disprove a hypothesis. Honestly, shifting to this mindset is a total game changer because you stop taking creative failures personally. A concept that flops isn't a reflection of your worth. It's literally just an experiment that yielded negative results, and that is incredibly valuable for refining your next test.
Moving right along to Section 2, hypothesizing the viral hook.
Why does the hook need to be so strictly scientific? Well, just look at the medium itself. A format like YouTube Shorts has a strict 60-second limit, and research shows that, on average, a person speaks about 125 to 150 words per minute. That means every single syllable counts. So your hypothesis, that crucial opening message you want your audience to grasp, needs to be incredibly tight. You literally don't have the time to ramble. If you waste the first 3 seconds clearing your throat or giving some vague intro, you've essentially burned 5% of your total experimental runtime. And guess what? The viewer is already gone.
The most successful hooks tap directly into natural psychological triggers. You might use a curiosity gap, where you purposefully leave out a key piece of information. Or maybe lean into FOMO, the fear of missing out. You could even use pattern interruption to completely catch the viewer off guard. But the science truly shines in what we call the 3-part build. A top-tier hook uses a perfectly synchronized blend, a surprising visual, 3 to 7 words of on-screen text, and a punchy 5 to 10 word verbal delivery. Imagine showing a completely shattered phone screen visually, putting up text that says, "Never do this," and verbally saying, "The one mistake destroying your battery." All 3 elements reinforce the exact same message simultaneously, so the viewer's brain instantly gets it without having to work for it.
And just like testing different chemical variables in a lab, you need to test different phrasing. Have you heard about triggers that innate fear of missing out? Try this too. Empowers the viewer with a direct call to action. By running A/B tests on specific phrasing variables like these over a couple of weeks, while keeping the rest of your video exactly the same, you can scientifically figure out which information gap actually stops your specific target audience from swiping away. You aren't guessing what works, you're isolating variables.
Now for Section 3, pre-production as research design. Think about how rigorously a researcher has to design their methodology before they ever conduct an experiment. In a digital studio, let's say for 3D animation, you have this incredibly complex web of assets, textures, and skeletal rigs that all depend on each other. A structured digital highway or studio pipeline is absolutely essential here to prevent data collisions and massively expensive mistakes. If a modeler arbitrarily decides to change a character's arm shape after the animator has already started framing movements, that digital arm is literally going to break in the software. In academic research, bad design means tainted data.
In content creation, bad pipeline design means blown budgets, missed deadlines, and total creative burnout. Much like an academic literature survey, where you map out the whole landscape before diving in, stepping systematically from a written script to a visual storyboard and then to timed animatics is an absolute lifesaver. This systematic approach allows creators to catch roughly 70% of their creative mistakes before they ever move into costly execution. Think about it. Fixing a pacing issue in a rough 2D sketch takes maybe 5 minutes. Fixing that exact same issue after a dense 3D scene is fully rendered, that can take 5 days. Pre-production is where your research blueprint becomes bulletproof.
Let's dive into Section 4, Executing the Production Experiment.
How you execute your experiment depends entirely on your medium. But that scientific rigor, that has to stay exactly the same. If your execution involves 3D models or 2D characters, you have to meticulously apply variables like the 12 principles of animation. Take the principle of squash and stretch, for example. By manipulating these variables, like squashing a sphere when it impacts the ground and stretching it as it shoots back up, you bring believable weight, flexibility, and physical logic to your experiment. You are literally coding physics into existence. Without these principles, your execution just falls flat. The audience might not know the technical animation terms, but their brains will instantly recognize that the experiment lacks authenticity.
On the flip side, if your experiment relies on screen capture via software like OBS Studio, controlling your execution means properly calibrating your recording parameters. You have to match your base canvas to your monitor's actual resolution, and crucially, select the correct frames per second, or FPS. A static coding tutorial might be perfectly fine at 30 FPS, but if you're capturing high-speed gameplay or complex visual effects, 60 FPS is critical to capture that motion smoothly without jitter. This is you, the researcher, perfectly calibrating your instruments before the test begins. Recording the wrong variable here ruins the data collection entirely. You can't magically fix a choppy 30 FPS gaming clip in post-production, just like a researcher can't retroactively fix a broken thermometer.
We also have to completely constrain the experiment environment itself to fit the medium. If your target is a mobile platform, you use editing tools to manipulate the canvas to exactly where the audience lives. You might leverage DaVinci Resolve Scaling tab to select film mode, or use CapCut PC's Auto Reframe feature, which actually uses AI to track your subject's position automatically. This guarantees your horizontal widescreen footage is perfectly cropped into those strict 9:16 vertical parameters demanded by modern social feeds. It's all about controlling the presentation. If you present your findings in a format the audience has to squint to see, your data gets lost.
Which brings us to our final phase, Section 5, Post-Production and Data Analysis. Before we push our final experiment out into the wild, there's a vital packaging step we can't ignore: accessibility. We utilize speech recognition tools, like those found natively in CapCut, to bake in auto subtitles. This ensures our research findings are easily consumed by the absolute widest possible audience. And this is especially crucial when you consider that a massive percentage of mobile users watch everything with the sound completely off. Subtitles make your message unmistakable, ensuring the variables you want the viewer to absorb aren't just lost in silence. Ultimately, the success of this entire methodological pipeline is proven by cold, hard data. According to YouTube content strategist Patty Galloway, a truly successful viral hook, a proven hypothesis, retains at least 70% of viewers past those crucial first 3 seconds. If you open your analytics and see a sheer cliff drop-off in your retention graph plummeting below that 70% threshold early on, your hook didn't live up to its promise. The audience swiped away. But because you're viewing this scientifically now, you don't take it personally. The data is simply telling you exactly which variable needs fixing for your next trial.
Because, as we've learned throughout this explainer, top-tier content creation isn't just throwing random paint at a canvas to see what sticks. It is a calculated, never-ending cycle of formulating a hypothesis, executing your pipeline, analyzing the retention data, and then refining your approach. It's an art for sure, but it is deeply, deeply driven by science. So the only question left to ask yourself as you fire up your editing software today is, what hypothesis are you going to test next? Thanks so much for joining me, and happy experimenting.
Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're jumping right back into the studio for part 2 of our deep dive. In our last explainer, we covered the broad strokes, but today we're getting our hands dirty. We are mastering the actual production pipeline for your next viral short. We're going to take you step by step, literally from a blank page all the way to a published, highly engaging vertical masterpiece.
Okay, so let's kick things off with the ultimate creator question. Why do viewers instantly swipe away from some videos but completely binge others?
You know the feeling, right? It's like this giant puzzle. You pour hours into a concept, and sometimes it just falls flat. Well, the answer almost always comes down to mastering those first few crucial seconds, and then maintaining a totally flawless technical presentation.
And look, we actually have the hard data to back this up. According to research from YouTube strategist Patty Galloway, the absolute top-performing shorts consistently hit a viewed versus swiped away ratio somewhere between 70 and 90%. Think about that for a second. That means out of every 100 people the algorithm shows your video to, up to 90 of them are actually choosing to stick around and watch. Hitting that metric is basically your golden ticket. And today's pipeline, that's your roadmap to get there.
So here's our production pipeline for today's explainer. We've got 5 steps: scripting the perfect hook, writing a 60-second video, recording and animation basics, formatting for vertical screens, and finally, auto captions and that final polish. Let's get right into it.
Step 1. Scripting the perfect hook. We're starting with the absolute highest stakes moment of your entire video. Because honestly, if you lose them here, nothing else matters.
To actually stop that infinite scroll, you really have to tap into these 4 psychological triggers. Viewers make a literal split-second choice to stay or leave. So you've got the curiosity gap, which basically makes us desperately want to know the missing details. Then there's FOMO, the classic fear of missing out on something awesome. Pattern interruption surprises the viewer by breaking up the visual monotony of their feed. And finally, social proof, which leverages our natural human tendency to just follow what everyone else finds interesting.
So the secret sauce here is that your opening has to combine 3 specific elements simultaneously, so your viewers just get it the second the video starts. Visually, you need to show the payoff or an action in progress. Seriously, do not waste time on a slow setup. Then for text, use just 3 to 7 words on screen that sharpen the promise, maybe highlighting a secret or a mistake. And verbally, deliver a punchy 5 to 10 word hook with a ton of energy. When your visual, text, and voice all reinforce the exact same message at once, your retention is going to absolutely skyrocket.
Here's a perfect example of mixing curiosity and rarity. This hook style creates an instant us versus them intrigue. Actually, a creator named Techranium used a variation of this exact phrase, claiming Apple doesn't want people to know about a specific iPhone password hack, and guess what? It pulled in 21 million views. Crazy, right? It works so well because it gives the audience the feeling that they're getting exclusive access to some kind of forbidden or hidden knowledge. Moving on to step 2, writing a 60-second video. Once you've hooked them, the real work is delivering a tight, compelling narrative.
When you only have a minute, every single second counts. You have to craft a narrative with a totally clear beginning, middle, and end, and use analogies to explain complex ideas as fast as possible. Stick to short, punchy sentences. You know that classic, "Hey guys, welcome back to my channel" intro? Yeah, cut that filler completely. The body of your script needs to break down the topic logically, and your summary should instantly tie right back to that massive promise you made in your hook. And always, always end with a strong purpose.
Now, if you want to truly level up, here's a massive secret used by the top creators. Track your metrics and test 3 to 5 different hooks over a couple of weeks, but keep the core content completely identical. Seriously, if a video flops, do not throw away the whole concept. Just re-record those first 3 seconds using a different psychological trigger. Re-upload it and just watch how the retention data shifts. It's a total game changer.
Step 3, recording and animation basics. So let's jump into the actual production phase and talk about how to capture the footage that backs up that killer script. If you're doing any kind of software demo or screen sharing, OBS Studio is your absolute best friend. It's totally free and incredibly powerful. You just set up a scene, add display capture, and you're good to go. But listen, here is a pro-level tip you need to remember. Always record in the MKV format. Unlike MP4 files, which will completely corrupt if your software randomly crashes, MKV ensures your recording is safely saved even if your whole computer dies right in the middle of a take. It's an absolute lifesaver.
Now, if you're incorporating character animations, you have to nail these principles. Straight-ahead action is when you draw frame by frame from start to finish. It gives you really dynamic, fluid motion. On the flip side, things like follow-through and overlapping action make sure that parts of the body, like hair or clothing, naturally keep moving even after the main character stops. It's these tiny, realistic details that trick our brains into believing the motion is actually real.
Or, hey, maybe you want a truly unique visual style to really stand out in a super crowded feed. If so, you got to try the classic 8-step stop-motion workflow. You start with your concept and storyboarding, then pick your materials, like clay or paper, and build your set. But here's the make-or-break rule.
You absolutely must lock your camera down on a tripod so nothing shakes, and make sure your lighting is 100% consistent before you start capturing frames. After that, you edit it all together and add your sound design. It definitely takes patience, but the result? A stunning pattern interruption that viewers literally can't ignore.
Step 4. Formatting for vertical screens. Okay, you've got your awesome footage recorded or animated, but now we have to make sure it looks absolutely perfect on a smartphone screen.
You can easily level up your workflow by taking a standard widescreen video and instantly adapting it for vertical platforms. If you're using CapCut on PC, it's basically magic. You just hit the auto reframe tool, set it to 9:16, and the AI will literally track your subject's position to keep them perfectly centered as they move around. Or if you're a DaVinci Resolve user, you can just hop into the Retime and Scaling tab and choose Film Mode. That'll instantly scale up your horizontal footage to fill that tall vertical canvas without those annoying black bars at the top and bottom.
And finally, Step 5, Auto Captions and Final Polish. We are in the home stretch now. This is where we add that professional polish, which is really all about accessibility and viewer retention.
Gone are the days of painfully typing out subtitles by hand. Using advanced AI to automatically transcribe your voice is going to save you so much time. In tools like CapCut, you literally just click Auto Captions, pick your language, and boom, the software drops perfectly synced text right onto your timeline. And the best part? You can quickly review everything and batch edit any weird typos in a simple list view instead of scrubbing through the timeline trying to find mistakes clip by clip.
So you might be wondering, why don't I just use the automatic captions built into YouTube or Instagram? Well, relying on those platform-native captions is a massive risk. They can look super inconsistent, or worse, the viewer might just have them toggled off. Permanently burning in your own dynamic text directly onto the video file guarantees that your message, your custom fonts, and your unique brand vibe are delivered perfectly to every single viewer. Plus, it's absolutely crucial for the huge percentage of people who scroll with their phones completely on mute.
And as you hit those final few seconds of your short, don't forget the ultimate purpose of your script. You always want to finish with a powerful call to action. You've just spent the last 60 seconds building up all this incredible momentum and energy with the viewer, right? So tell them exactly what to do with it. Tell them to subscribe, drop a comment, or click the link in your bio. Don't leave them hanging.
So there you have it. You've just mastered the ultimate production pipeline, from the psychology of the perfect 3-second hook all the way to those sleek, burnt-in dynamic captions. Now it's time to actually hit record and put these techniques to the test. The tools have literally never been easier to use, which means the only thing holding you back is your own creativity. What's your next viral short going to be about? Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I seriously can't wait to see what you create.